Good morning, people. It's Sunday morning, the something 7th, 27th of May. Yeah, figured we'd do a little walk and talk this morning. We are going to celebrate Shavuot today, mostly because I didn't realize it was last Sunday. And in the busyness of our lives, we unintentionally missed that feast celebration. So I could have said, we were busy, we'll get it next year. But I just didn't feel right. I figured that some effort was better than no effort. So we're going to celebrate that today. And we have some friends coming from about 45 minutes away that will be meeting with us and coming to hang out and be bringing their kids. And I got bread rising in the kitchen right now. Loaves, 2 loaves, and got a roast ready to be roasted, and we're gonna have us a little feast of holy convocation and read some word and hang out and be joyous and give praise to the Most High as a little unit. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that here in a little bit. And I've looked for how shall I phrase this? As much direction on Shavuot as I could find, like the do's and don'ts of Shavuoting, right? And so I watched some Zachary Bauer bids, newtotorah.com. He has, if you're even remotely interested in, without sounding like an a-hole, keeping God's commandments, keeping Torah, Zachary Bauer, New to Torah. He has a very good YouTube channel and a very good website. And Pastor Joe's video on Shofar Mountain from last weekend was about Shavuot. Imagine that, since it was last weekend. And so there was some guidance there, but really as far as the hard and fast rules for keeping Shavuot, there don't seem to be very many. So I don't have 2 lambs to slaughter, so I'm not gonna, but I do have a beef roast. So we're gonna roast a beef roast, and we're gonna bake some bread. And we don't have an altar for burnt offerings and all that, and you can make the argument that all that was done away with, and we're now the order of Melchizedek and blah blah blah, all that stuff, right? Any of y'all still out there, or have I bored you to death? Shut up, crow. Anti-crow action. What are y'all up to? It's called a murder of crows for a reason. Because you hear that and all you can think of is murder. At least that's me. One of my fondest memories as a child was we had, holy cow, something's going on over there. We had 2 acres of garden put down when I was a kid growing up. Like legitimately 2 acres of garden. And 1 acre was for my dad's salsa, because he made that much salsa. Y'all are distracting. I hope y'all can hear that. What is going on? The other acre was for the pantry, for feeding babies with. And I came home from school one day. My dad says, "I got a mission for you." Now that was always enjoyable as a child. because it usually meant I got to shoot something. So me and my buddy Brian grabbed our 22s and went up into the barn, into the loft. Well, actually what we did was we got a 50-pound sack of bird feed, and hold on 1 minute, I gotta investigate this crow thing. It is driving me insane. Stand by. Okay, so apparently there's a nest over there in that tree that either belongs to a bunch of crows that are trying to protect it, or a bunch of crows are trying to rob it, one or the other. Now, I have no love for crows, and my natural instinct is just to unleash hell. But I'm gonna let nature sort itself out for right now and try and get away from them, because I don't want to hear it. As I was saying, me and my buddy got our 22 rifles and a 50-pound sack of bird feed, and we dumped that bird seed out behind the barn. We got a brick of 22, and I don't know, hundreds of crows descended around that pile of bird food. 3, 2, 1, fire! Pop, 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 pop. Man, just as quick as you could squeeze the trigger and make accurate shots. And we hit probably 12 crows, and the rest of them took up and roosted up in the trees, and then waited about 10 minutes. It flew back down to a pile. We were reloading magazines, and my buddy had a tube-fed Marlin, and I had this Ruger 1022. It was walnut stocked and blued at the time. It wasn't a tactical 22. And so anyway, long and short, we did this over and over and over again, and killed 200 crows maybe. I remember my dad had to bring the backhoe out and dig a hole and push them all into the hole with a bucket. That's how many crows there were. And they were eating all the seed out of his garden, and he was not having it. So I don't know a lot about crows. I know that certain Native American tribes consider them messengers. I consider them annoying. I'm not a big fan. So maybe I'm wrong. Hit me in comments and let me know if there's something useful that crows do. But as of right now, I just see them as an early warning system that has its glitches. So the field that I'm standing in right here, the children have been mowing, and I have let them know as of yesterday to stop mowing it, because I'm going to put ruminants in this field. I don't know what ruminants yet, but ruminants, probably I want at least a cow-calf pair, one. And I want to do it wisely so I don't have to bring in lots of hay. I only want to have to feed hay in the winter. So cow-calf pair should be 1.5 acres-ish, which we easily have in this field right here. And then I probably want about 4 to 6 goats, boers. One of y'all commented about boers for meat goats, and so I reached out to a lady near here, and she says, "Oh yeah, I've got the best breeding stock, I said, "Okay, well, what does that go for?" She said, "Well, depending on if it's a yearling or a full grown, it could be, anywhere between $200 and $350. I said, "For a goat?" "Oh yeah." Like, so you're telling me I need to budget $1,200 to $1,800 for goats? Because that seems a little bit insane for somebody with zero goat experience, other than to know that they're, basically akin to a sheep, more or less. So I'm trying to figure out whether or not it's worth going to the sale barn to buy goats, or if I need to buy some $200 fancy goats. And I'm leaning towards not $200 fancy goats, because basically what I need are brush mowers that I can eat. I'm not curious about winning any goat prizes. I want to put meat in the freezer. So that's part of that. And I want to get some sheep. I've done a good bit of research into sheep in about the last week, and it looks like small scale sheep farming is the exact opposite of profitable. But I'd like to have them for feasts, and I'd like to have them for soil building. Ruminants are very good at building grasses, and the more you build grassy areas, the more ruminants you can put on that grassy area. So if you look at like Joel Salatin and his intensive management system for rotating cows on pasture, in the county he lives in, average cow days per acre, how many days you can keep one cow on 1 acre, cow days, is 40 cow days per acre. His acreage is averaging 400 cow days per acre because of the way that they move their animals. And they, go watch Joel, Joel Salatin, Salatin, Joel Salatin. He has some excellent keynote speeches if you're into that. Polyface Farms. He is, I think, contributing editor of Mother Earth News, but he's not a hippy dippy. I saw one keynote he gave. He says he likes to describe himself as, let's see if I can get this right, a Christian conservative libertarian crazy farmer, or something to that effect. And I was like, okay, I like this guy. But all he wants to do is be left alone to raise meat on his land, and I can relate to that. So I want to get some of that going. I have 3 acres of, see that back there, that stuff, just the other side of this, there is actually a fence in there. Just the other side of that, you got this on one side and that on the other, and I want to use goats to help turn that into that, and then get some sheep out here so that I can have them for number one, I like eating sheep. I find them to be tasty. Number 2, I want to have them for feasts, both our own feast, and then if there's anybody else that needs a sheep for a feast, hey, I got you, bro. And then I like it from a homesteading vantage point. The more that your property can produce on its own, the better. And meat is where people start to have a hard time with homesteading, has been my experience as far as food production. Chickens are pretty easy as far as getting eggs. Like it's a self-contained system. You give them corn, they give you eggs, and let them out so they can eat bugs, right? So free range time plus corn equals eggs. And just give them a place to lay those eggs. No biggie. And then when they stop laying, now you're getting a little bit more intense, but when they stop giving you protein, they are protein. So you can lop their heads off and or do it the halal kosher way, which is what I prefer, and turn that bird into meat for your freezer or your oven. And that's okay, that's kind of low intensity stuff. A lot of people do meat rabbits. You see my little pinto beans coming up? I don't know if y'all can see that, but they got super happy since yesterday. They've gotten super happy, and I got corn sprouting in this bed next to them. But look at these suckers. Pinto bean flyover. Look at that. That's store-bought pinto beans broadcast into freshly churned soil. I'm pretty happy about that. But anyway, you can get meat rabbits if that's your thing. If you're eating things with paws, you can get meat rabbits, and it's a pretty quick system. But if you're not, right, if you don't eat things that go forth on paws, and you eat ruminants, you got cows, sheep, and goats, and deer. And you can deer hunt. There's nothing wrong with deer hunting. Depending on where you are and the size of deer you're shooting and how many you shoot, it's kind of hard to put up a year's worth of meat from deer hunting. I shot deer in upstate New York regularly, multiple deer each year. Everybody in our family had hunting permits. In fact, the joke always was mom shot the biggest deer. Well, mom didn't shoot. My mom has never shot a deer in her life, but her tag hung on a lot of different deer because we needed the meat, right? And we were hunting our own land, by and large our own land, and we got deer management permits from the state of New York. I believe it was for every 10 acres you had under plow, you got one deer management permit. We had 165 acres of hay, so that was 17 deer permits. In addition to what you got with your hunting license, and at the time I think it was 3 deer per license. You know, a primitive, a shotgun, and a rifle. So primitive would be like black powder or bow, and I truly don't remember because it's been a while, but I think that's what it was. So we killed lots of deer every year, and we would butcher a cow every year as well, and we had a good amount of meat. But if you had to do that without going to the grocery store ever, man, it gets intensive is what I'm getting at. So I'm trying to get the infrastructure for that set now so that those become self-contained systems. So I babbled on for 20 minutes about what? Homesteading, Shavuot. I mean, that's important. The homesteading stuff, not so much. Let's see, what else have y'all been asking me about? The active shooter walkthrough is coming. I am trying to orchestrate that to the best of my ability to make it as realistic as possible. I'm going to be doing as well a video with my children where I am going to get an IFAK, and I've decided on this. Each one of my kids is getting an IFAK to carry with them at school. It'll be in their bag. And each one of my kids is getting training on how to use that IFAK. And they already know how to use a tourniquet, because that's something that, because I'm me, I've been training them on for years now. But not only how to use the tourniquet, but how to pack wounds, right? Because anything in this area, like from here down, you can't get a tourniquet on that. Because in the middle of your arm and down, you can't run a tourniquet on. Right, the farthest up you can get a tourniquet is right about here. Depending on your musculature, it may not hold. Right, and same thing with your thighs, right, your quads. So, so how to pack wounds, right? How to apply pressure dressings, and then anything that's in your thoracic cavity, you don't pack that because you need to have a backstop to pack, like in here. Right, let's say it was pectoralis major in my chest right here. Right, so there's a muscle there behind the wound that I can take Curlex or compressed gauze and pack that wound, and that'll slow bleeding, and then I can probably rig a pressure dressing to apply direct pressure to that to hold it, so that after 5 minutes I should have clotting there, and the blood's going to do what the blood does and clot up and stop the blood flow. Well, in the thoracic cavity, your gut, there's no backstop. So if you're pushing Curlex into that hole, it's just going to keep going in that hole, and that creates big complications as well. So in those areas, you seal those holes. You don't pack those holes, and you can't use a tourniquet on those holes. Although I have some guys, I've told them the best way for you to deal with an injury is to take your tourniquet, put it around your neck, and keep turning until you can't breathe, and then lock it in place. Because you're doing the rest of us a favor. So anyway, I'm going to be doing that with my kids, and I'm going to give my kids an actual combat level IFAK, each one of them to take to school with them. Couple of reasons. Number one, I want them to have it and to know how to use it. And number two, I just want them to have the utmost familiarity and comfort with it. And I guess number three, Yah forbid they ever need to use it, they have it with them. That's why people carry firearms, right? Because the number one rule for a gunfight is have a gun, right? So in an active shooter situation, my kids are young. They're not going to have guns with them, but at least they can render aid if needed, right? But I also want to, for this shooter video, have my kids playing a pivotal role in the footage, because it's gonna be people their age. God forbid it's nobody ever, but it's gonna be somebody their age and their stature probably. And so techniques that work for me, because I'm me and I'm strong and I'm a big dude and I can lay a hold of you and manipulate you real well, are not going to work for, I mean, even a lot of men, they're not going to work for. They're probably not going to work for women. They're definitely not going to work for children. So I think it does a disservice to take a 300-pound grizzly bear who's got a 1-rep max of 465 pounds and say, oh, okay, well, in this situation, you just do this. Just grab them by the larynx and squeeze until their head pops off. Well, a 9-year-old's going to have a problem with that. So I'm working the kinks out of that now, getting that all set up so that we can film it, because I want it to actually be something good and useful. So that's coming. And then in addition to that, I'm gonna do a medical video, like I was saying, on that IFAK, of how to actually use it, how to apply a tourniquet, how to apply a pressure dressing, how to pack wounds, how to seal wounds. In the meanwhile, there's lots of people that have videos like that already. So if that's something you're interested in now, go check out Skinny Medic, go check out USMC Doc. Patriot Nurse has a bunch of stuff on that. It's out there, folks. And like, for example, Skinny Medic, he knows what he's talking about. Has a very good YouTube channel, very concise, to the point, not blowing smoke. So you can go check him out. And I honestly would encourage you to go do that now. Don't sit around and wait for me to get a video out. I will, but don't sit around and wait for me to get a video out, because you may need those skills in between now and then. So go watch a Skinny Medic vid. USMC Doc talks a lot of trash. He's a Marine. So if you're not cool with soldier talk, you might want to police yourself and not watch his videos, but is what it is. Let's see what else we had. I have a lot of questions about bugging out. What is the best bug out scenario, or best advice for this situation or this scenario? And I've done a lot on bugging out, so I would encourage you, if you have those questions, to go back channel and look. I'd be doing a huge disservice to myself and my convictions if I didn't say the best way to bug out is to not have to bug out at all. Just leave. Just leave now. And I know that's hard. I get it. I know that's hard. And I can say that with a whole bunch of empathy and a whole bunch of compassion, because I've done it. I'm here. We prayed over the piece of land that I'm walking right now for 3 years. And I really, truly believe once we got here, I mean, the first time I ever stepped foot here, I knew. And then when I met the previous owners, it was obvious to me that they had been chosen as stewards of this land for us. We told them, the last time we met with them, I told them, and I'm not a super touchy-feely guy, although here lately it seems the more the Holy Spirit works on me, the more I go that direction, because, you know, nature abhors a void. You can't be all of one thing and not any of another, right? Something's got to fill that gap. So I told these people, I said, you know, this might sound weird, but I just love you guys. You guys are awesome. And thank you so much. And they both started crying, and they were like, we love you guys too. This is awesome. We couldn't ask for anybody better to take over this property and they just didn't have the capacity to utilize this property to its full potential. I often wonder if I do. Right? But I'm trying. Swinging the battle axe, we've talked about that. Just get out here and do. And man, work begets work. The more work you do, the more work there is. But I've told you, it's more than a simple math equation out here. You give some, the land gives some, and God gives some, and you get back way more than you've given off of land when you work it properly and wisely. But this place, I believe, was just waiting for us. And but it took 3 years of praying to find the place that was waiting for us. And it took 2 significant rejections in the process to get here. I thought I was going to end up in Northwest Arkansas. Seriously, that's where I was going to be. I was looking for jobs in Bentonville. I had a couple of good job offers because of who I am and my background, which it leads to the point of, I don't care who you are or what you do. Somebody needs your skills somewhere. So don't get caught up in the, I do skin grafts for lab mice. I have a very niche market of labs that I can work at, or whatever your boutique skill set is. Somebody needs your services somewhere. So if you're having trouble finding work, market yourself better or broaden the type of work that you would like to do. So anyway, I thought we were going to end up in Northwest Arkansas. I literally was ready to, we made an offer on a house. I was ready to quit my job and pack everything and move there. And that was not the Father's will. So here we are in Nowhere, Oklahoma. But it's undeniable when we're here that this place was made for us, and it was kept by good stewards that the Father provided for us. And now the onus is on me to do the best that I can with this to provide for my family, and in doing so, bring glory to Yah in the process. Does any of that make sense? What are we even talking about anymore? I don't know. It's walk and talk. We're bird walking. I think I'm going to start titling these video bird walks, so y'all know what you're getting into. Because sometimes these are very coherent and sometimes they're not. So if you're going to bug out, go back channel and look. If you can, I would much prefer that you didn't have to bug out in the first place. Now, in an area like this, it doesn't mean that you don't have a bug out bag. And I think that's something that some people miss is, I still have a bug out bag. A couple of reasons. Number one, if I'm here and something happens here, say there's a localized disaster, a forest fire or something, right? Or whatever, right? Something happens and we've got to go, and we've got to go right now. All of the bug out system rules and regulations still apply. So if we need to leave this land of milk and honey and go right now, we will. And we have the equipment and the expertise, more importantly, to do that with. Number two, if I am out there in the world and something happens and I need to get back here, as I've said before, I'd much prefer to hop in yon pickup truck and drive it from where I am to where I need to be. But if that system breaks down, literally or figuratively, then what, right? Talk all the time about take these processes to their logical conclusion, then what? The most basic system that you have should be a man-portable system, because the most basic transportation system is a man or a woman or a child. Pine cone falling from the tree put me on high alert for a minute. Who that rustling over there? By the way, consequently, the crows have shut up, which is nice of them. Thank you, crows. Let's sit on this log a minute. So, man-portable systems are your basic form of transportation, right? The man is your basic form of transportation. So your basic system needs to be man portable so that you're not leaving a whole bunch of stuff behind. But I have a man portable system in my truck that should the truck break down or run out of gas or roads are impassable or whatever, I can ditch the truck, grab my bag and my chest rig and my rifle and hoof it. So it doesn't mean when you're out here, if you've been blessed with a piece of land out here, it doesn't mean you don't have a bug out bag. It just means that your bug out bag fills a different role. And so I guess in the hierarchy of survivalism, homesteading is right there at the top, because the more you can do for yourself, the less dependent you are on the flawed system that you're trying to bug out from in the first place. So if you can get out here and start making the most out of a piece of land, you're going to be a lot more secure than if you're in the city, God forbid, in the city or in the suburbs. And I know people are feeling it. I have lots of people that have reached out to me wanting to know where I am and can they get a piece of land near me, and I'm talking with some of them. And I have, which is kind of the Pastor Joe method, import your people to your area. And then I have people in the mag in Texas that, I've landed here in Oklahoma. I've established a beachhead, right? So now, not that I would call them springtime patriots, but, somebody took the first step, right? I've already made the leap, and I've proven that I didn't die, right? I'll be okay. So now some of my cohorts and team members in Texas are looking seriously at moving up here, either as a bug out location or permanently. And few things could make me happier than that. So, and there's only so much land up here. I mean, there's lots of land, but proximity is a real thing, right? So I keep telling them, hey, if you want to be near me, there's only so much land for sale near me, so you should probably start buying it now, sooner rather than later. And that comes with its own set of challenges. But point being, if you're gonna bug out, if you got your heart set on bugging out, go back channel and look around. I got a lot of stuff on that. But I would much rather that you were in a place that you didn't need to bug out from when chaos happened in the first place. Because we're fairly well insulated from chaos out here. Short of these woods catching fire, yah forbid, there's not a whole lot of things that are going to bother me that bad. No volcanoes near me that I know of. The ash cloud could go for several thousand miles. Yeah, it's entirely possible. Polar shift could happen in the next 30 seconds. That'd be a bad thing. I think the grand solar minimum's a real thing, and it's coming. One of y'all is sending me some potatoes in the mail. I appreciate that. And I guess lastly, we're going to put a bow on this, and I'm going to go in the house and hang out with my people. Lastly, I really enjoy the comments that I get from y'all. The Revolting Man has said many a time that the real star of the show is the comment section down below. And we're not there yet. Like, we are not Revolting Man status. And if it's the Father's will, we will be. And if it's not, I'm okay with it. I have no vested interest one way or the other. But what we do have is a large and growing group of people who are dedicated to whatever it is that this channel means to them, to y'all. And I'm really deeply appreciative of that. And I don't understand the how or the why, but I know that these words that come out of my mouth mean a lot to a lot of y'all. And you've let me know that, and I appreciate that. That means a lot to me. So, I've gotten a lot of comments and emails that y'all were having a bad day, and I said something that just turned it around for you and helped you out. And I want you to know that I've had bad times, bad days, and I'll get a notification on my phone and I'm like, ugh, what is it now? And it's an email or a comment from one of y'all that's like, look, you got, like, thank you. You know, you made my day. I needed to hear what you had to say. Well, that makes my day. And not in an egotistical way. All the stuff that I have going on, being a man is stressful. It can be lonely at times. And it's a challenge, right? Pastor Joe says all the time, man was not meant to be alone. Roger that. Well, as I've said before, I left. My nuclear tribe is with me here in Oklahoma. My everybody else is in Texas. I've yet to build a tribe in Oklahoma, and I'm working on it. But I don't have the support structure here, so to say. So there are times where, you know, this is a blessing, but it's work, and it can be a little overwhelming at times. So to know that there's people out there who care about this work that I'm trying to do helps me quite a bit. So, all right, I'm gonna go in the house and do whatever it is that needs to get done. Not supposed to do any servile work today, the whole Shavuot thing. You know, and yeah, I get it. Today's not that day, but I think it's better to try than to not try. And I think to a large degree, in a lot of cases, the Father's like, dude, that was all messed up, but I see what you're trying to do, and I appreciate it, you know? So, I know today's not the day, right? It's the 57th day, not the 50th day. So what would that Penta 7 cost? Whatever today is. But, you know, we're going to do it. And it won't be just going through the motions either. We're going to wave our loaves in the air, and we're going to have a holy convocation, and we're going to party for Yah. And it'll be good. And I think when you do the best that you can to the best of your ability in the circumstances that you have, God smiles on that. I blew it by a week, but I think it's better to still try than to go, oh, well, whatever, I guess we'll get it next year. So, y'all have a blessed day. I'm babbling. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.